In 1957, Robert Bobby Rasmussen, aged 13, and Gerald Montrio, aged 15, resided on Rocky Hill Road in Plymouth, Massachusetts, forming an inseparable bond as best friends. Though details about their lives remain scarce, Bobby's sister portrayed him as exceptionally self-reliant and independent, while Gerald's siblings attested to his intelligence, independence, and remarkable strength for his age. Both boys were regarded as exceptionally streetwise. On September 9th, 1957, following the conclusion of the school day at 3 p.m, the boys had arranged to meet up. They later made their way towards Warren Cove in Massachusetts Bay for a swim. Witnesses observed them carrying bundles of clothing as they boarded and disembarked from a boat anchored in the bay, seemingly preparing for a skin diving excursion. Approximately an hour later, another bystander reported hearing shouts or screams emanating from the beach area, though upon investigation, no individuals in distress were sighted. Curiously, at around 4:30 p.m, a different witness, who subsequently approached the police, claimed to have spotted two teenage boys resembling Bobby and Gerald hitchhiking nearby. As supper time elapsed without any communication from their sons, both the Rasmussen and Montrio families began to grow increasingly anxious. Charlotte, Bobby's mother, took the initiative to report her son and his friend as missing to the authorities. In response, local authorities swiftly initiated an extensive search effort. Despite their thorough efforts, however, no trace of the two boys was discovered. Shortly after the boys went missing, both sets of clothing belonging to Rasmussen and Montrio were discovered neatly folded on flat rock, situated by the edge of Plymouth Harbour. Sources differ on whether Bobby's mother or two police officers made this discovery. This finding suggested that the teens had probably gone for a swim and encountered difficulties. Consequently, in light of this evidence and the absence of any substantial leads, authorities speculated that the boys may have accidentally drowned, although a few investigators harboured doubts regarding this theory. The search persisted throughout the night with support from the US Coast Guard, yet, regrettably, no sign of the boys emerged. After 2 days of exhaustive efforts, the search was reluctantly called off. When authorities informed the Rasmussen and Montrio families of the likelihood that the boys had drowned, scepticism immediately arose. Bobby and Gerald were known for their sensible nature and ability to take care of themselves, making such an outcome seem improbable. Their sisters found it particularly peculiar that their clothes had been neatly folded, as it was unlike their usual casual behaviour of tossing them aside. Moreover, both boys were proficient swimmers. If indeed they had drowned in the bay or been swept into the Atlantic, the lack of discovery of their bodies raised further questions. Thus, despite the initial presumption, the case appeared far from being a clear-cut matter. The families of Bobby and Gerald later stepped forward with their own theories, suggesting that the boys didn't drown but instead orchestrated their disappearances. Both boys' younger sisters revealed to the media that their families faced considerable challenges and turmoil. According to Joyce Baylant, Bobby's relationship with their merchant mariner father was strained, alleging instances of physical abuse, an accusation strongly refuted by their mother, Charlotte. Similarly, Gerald endured difficulties at home, including physical abuse from his father, who shared the same profession as Bobby's father. The families speculate that the boys may have staged their deaths to escape their troubled lives and start anew. Joyce and Gerald's sister, Raquel Rasbo, disclosed that the boys had discussed running away from home multiple times to evade their fathers and the turmoil within their households. They suspect that Bobby and Gerald had saved money prior to their disappearances, possibly to facilitate their escape. Adding to the intrigue, Gerald gave Raquel a ring a few weeks before vanishing, advising her to, quote, "just in case, you keep it," though the exact meaning behind this gesture remains unclear. Joyce remains unconvinced by the theory of her brother and his friend drowning, a sentiment echoed by Lenny Sullivan, a firefighter involved in the search. Sullivan noted that the location where their clothing was found was surrounded by large rocks, making it an unsafe area for swimming, especially considering the deathly cold temperatures. Additionally, the boat the friends were last seen in on the day they vanished was discovered on September 10th, yet details regarding its condition or any clues were scarce. Both families grappled with the devastating mystery surrounding Bobby and Gerald's disappearance. As years passed without answers, hope of finding them dwindled. The sisters revealed that their parents seldom mentioned the missing boys thereafter, and they themselves were forbidden from discussing the topic with each other. The anguish of uncertainty weighed heavily on both families, leaving them with more questions than answers about the fates of Bobby and Gerald. Charlotte Rasmussen explained, quote, "I always tried to hide it from them because I see what happens to children who celebrate death because they grow up and get depressed." In 2003, 46 years after the disappearance of Bobby and Gerald, Joyce and Raquel reunited and ventured to Flat Rock together, where their brother's clothes had been found. They solemnly tossed yellow flowers into the sea in memory of their lost loved ones. This heartfelt reunion was made possible when a man researching his family history discovered a lack of a death certificate for his distant cousin, Bobby Rasmussen. He had got in touch to find some answers. During their reunion, the sisters sparked renewed interest in the case by sharing their experiences with the newspapers. They opened up about the profound impact of Bobby and Gerald's disappearances on their lives and expressed their own theories regarding what might have transpired. Despite the passage of time and the passing of both boys' fathers and Gerald's mother, both sisters remained steadfast in their belief that their brothers were still alive and had chosen to vanish voluntarily to escape their, quote, tough-as-nails fathers. Their unwavering hope and determination breathed new life into the investigation, shedding light on a decades-old mystery that continued to haunt their families. Joyce told the press, quote, "In my heart, I've always known my brother was alive. If they knew the fathers are gone, if they know we do understand why they went, if they knew that we can forgive them, maybe they would come forward. The ultimate hope is that somewhere out there we will have two brothers that we'll get to see and touch." Raquel echoed a similar sentiment, quote, "I believe they are alive. If they still wanted to be apart from the family, I respect that, but we still love you and we miss you. The best hope would be that our brothers remember us, the sisters left behind that still love them." At the time of their disappearance in September of 1957, the younger of the two boys, Robert Rasmussen, was only 13 years old. Described as Caucasian with brown hair and brown eyes, little else is known about Robert, including his height, weight, or any distinguishing features. He was commonly known by the nickname Bobby. If still alive today, Rasmussen would be turning 80 years old. Gerald Montrio, Bobby's companion, was 15 years old at the time of their disappearance. Described as Hispanic, he had black hair and brown eyes, standing at around 6 feet tall and weighing approximately 140 pounds. Born in Bermuda, Gerald was fluent in both English and Spanish. Despite his young age, loved ones noted that he often appeared much older. If still alive today, Gerald would be 82 years old in 2024. Due to the circumstances involved in this case, both boys remain classified as endangered missing persons after 67 years. Despite the passage of time, the mystery surrounding Bobby and Gerald's disappearance continues to captivate those seeking answers and closure. Those with any information regarding the disappearances of Robert Rasmussen and Gerald Montrio are urged to contact Plymouth Police Department at 508-830-4218.